Well, we hear the stories of someone getting sick from food poisoning, and in many cases, conch, fish, and seafood are to blame.
That's right. Cleopatra Murphy spoke with health inspectors who say that proper food preparation can go a long way in preventing an unnecessary trip to the hospital.
Living in the tropics, many residents should be aware that foodborne illnesses are likely if precautions are not practiced. Key factors to eliminating pathogens like Salmonella and E. coli include proper sanitizing while preparing food and proper storage of cooked food. Department of Environmental Health Inspector Sally Ann Chisholm says food must be kept out of the temperature danger zone between 41 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Whenever you get between those zones, you end up with food becoming exposed to bacterial growth. So the key thing is to keep hot food hot and cold food cold.
Department of Environmental Health Inspector Dwight Allen says thawing foods properly is important to prevent food poisoning. Food should be thawed in the refrigerator.
A lot of us will leave foods out on the counter to be thawed, and sometimes for many, many hours. And what you're doing is you're keeping that food in the ideal temperature danger zone range while it's being thawed. And if the food is not properly cooked and that temperature maintained sufficiently high enough, again, all you've done is add to the growth of bacteria while the food is supposedly being cooked, as opposed to destroying organisms.
To prevent spoilage, Allen says cooked food should not be left out more than 2 hours, and for conch lovers, even though Bahamians believe it should be washed in salt water, it must be rinsed in fresh water to kill bacteria. He says cooks should be mindful when using utensils like knives and cutting boards when handling cooked and raw foods, as they can risk cross-contamination.
You go from a food that's cooked, where all bacteria is destroyed, to a food that's consumed raw, let's say salads, and that sort of thing. And so that gives you an opportunity to have the transfer of bacteria from one item of food to another, simply because one is cooked and one isn't.
The instructors say washing, rinsing, and sanitizing are key to eliminating bacteria, and cooked foods should be stored in shallow containers to allow for thorough cooling. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
The Department of Social Services has seen many transformations since its inception in 1964, and as it marks its 50th anniversary this month, it boasts a broad spectrum of services. The department will kick off its calendar of events with an exhibition at the Mall at Marathon on Friday, and a church service is scheduled for September 28th at Believers Gospel Chapel. As Social Services celebrates this milestone, Director Melanie Zonical says the public should know it does more than remove children from homes and give out handouts.
There are a myriad of functions that we perform that assist in building the community. For instance, we work very closely with seniors, the disabled, and also in urban renewal. And so for the next 50 years, I foresee social workers becoming more intimately involved in community development.
Well, Social Services Minister Melanie Griffin says the department has a staff of more than 300 with offices on New Providence, Grand Bahama, and 12 Family Islands. She says the staff and partners have enabled the department to meet the needs of the community. Permanent Secretary Barbara Burrows says the department's responsibilities have evolved and will continue to do so as it strives to meet the changing needs of the public.
Together, they have all contributed to bringing the Department of Social Services to this juncture. We acknowledge that nothing remains static, and for this reason, the department continues to evolve in an attempt to improve its services to the community and further enhance the lives of those whom we serve.
Over the years, we've truly had a cadre of very dedicated, well-trained social workers, and of course the support staff who would have worked with us over the years to help us to do what all that we needed to do.
From the courts, convicted murderer Kofi Goodman appeared before the High Court today, hoping to have his conviction and sentence overturned. Last year, a jury found him guilty of killing 11-year-old Marco Archer. Goodman was sentenced to death after the court determined that the case was the worst of the worst. Meantime, Goodman's appeal hearing has been adjourned to October. Still on court news, the sentencing for convicted rapist Oscar Ingram has been pushed back to September 12th. He's facing a possible life term after jurors convicted him of 2 counts of burglary, armed robbery, and rape. During today's proceedings before Justice Carolina Bethel, lead prosecutor Raquel Wim said the 28-year-old should be given life in prison as he is a danger to society and has shown no remorse. She also noted that a psychiatrist described Ingram as a serial rapist and a sociopath who cannot be cured. She suggested that if he is released, he will likely rob and rape again. The prosecutor also revealed that both of the women Ingram raped now live in fear, noting that one of them has to be tested for HIV every 6 months, while the other, a 65-year-old, is afraid to sleep in her home. Meantime, Ingram continues to maintain his innocence, claiming that it is all allegations and his DNA was never found.
In Family Island news, urban renewal executives calling on Cat Islanders to partner with them in order to enhance their community. The initiative was launched on Cat Island over the weekend. However, as Fern Carey tells us, urban renewal workers are already on the ground.
Cat Island residents of all ages turned out in large numbers for the official opening of the Noses Village Urban Renewal Center. It marks the official launch of Urban Renewal 2.0 on Cat Island. And to mark the occasion, there was a special performance by the Old Bight High School Band and the blessing of the center. The new Urban Renewal team was then formally introduced to Cat Islanders by Deputy Director of Urban Renewal for Grand Bahama, Michelle Reckley. She called on residents and the corporate community to partner with the Urban Renewal team, noting that staff members have already started working in the community.
Urban Renewal staff do daily assessments, and they move around from settlement to settlement, house to house, and they meet these needs in the homes. And what we do, we sit down and we decide which needs more attention.
Reckley indicated that plans are underway to introduce Urban Renewal 2.0 to Eleuthera and Bimini in the coming weeks.